Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drexel Free Thought Society weekly podcast. The Drexel Free Thought Society likes talking about stuff, and if you paid attention to the beginning part, you already heard this intro. If you would like to call into the show, please get on Skype and call Drexel Free Thought. Just use that as the Skype contact, and we will put you on the line right away. You can also... Sorry, we all just got food, so we're all going to be really distracted. But... you can also email us at drexfreethought@gmail.com, or you can join the Spreaker account. You just make an account and you can join us. Our page is the Drexel Free Thought Radio, and you can join the live chat. Right before the break, I had a climactic, unbelievable thing about to be said.
Huh.
The show that I was referring to, I think, is called Chihuahua, and it's just a show about a kid who finds a magic ring, and it turns him into a female superhero. Which I think that is very interesting, and I want to see how that goes.
Did you get rich?
I have no idea what the show is about. I saw the commercial. And it's on the Hub. And we are not affiliated with any of these things. We just casually observe them.
Indeed. So we were talking about how to fix the problem of, these financial mindsets. Are there any good financial mindsets? So let's start with that.
Live underneath your means.
Izzy said from the corner, try to live beneath your means. And I would kind of agree with that. Like, even if you're technically able to afford gold-plated pork, you may not want to.
Gold-plated pork?
I wouldn't want that in my digestive system.
No, I mean, like, if you're able to afford something that's rather good, then that's great. But what you could do is you can get reasonably priced things that are decent and functional, and then you can reinvest the money that you don't spend into other stuff.
I
like
agree.
helping people.
I think I read somewhere, like, Warren Buffett still lives in, like, a rancher house or whatever. Like,
I really doubt they can hear you from there.
okay, Warren Buffett, world billionaire guy, he still lives in the one-story rancher house that he first bought when he was married.
I would be fine with that. Like, the one thing I never understood is why people actually buy the gigantic super mansions that they only live in an eighth of.
The quote-unquote American dream that has been drilled into our heads since who knows when. This American dream, I mean, at first it used to be the white picket fence with the two kids and the dog and all that stuff. Now it's like, I want the most bling car with the gigantic house. I want to have, like, autonomous appliances that work just by me talking to them and everything. Like, people, they live in this really vivid ideological fantasy world, once they get money on the mind. And some people are actually able to do that. And then when people get too optimistic, I would say unreasonably optimistic, like, hey, that guy did it, I can do it too. Or another thing, with this whole American dream mindset, is that they live vicariously through the victory of others, which doesn't work out too well if that person doesn't affect your financial situation in any way. So it's like, we need to stop thinking about the American dream and start living the American reality and fix things here.
The problem is...
Dante has spoken.
Dante has spoken. Oh, I apologize for all the weird sound problems. There's really nothing we can do about it. We're hoping to rally some money to be able to buy better audio equipment, because right now it's really just a mic plugged into the computer. If anyone would like to donate money, you can find the information on our website.
Is that financial thing?
But you bring up an interesting point, and I want to just expound on it a little.
Okay.
One issue is that the American dream is completely manufactured by people who want to sell us stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, the classic one is like the wife with the fancy hair, the picket picket fence, the Leave It to Beaver, like the Cleaver family.
Yep.
Excuse me. And like the Cleaver family doesn't exist. It never existed. That doesn't exist anywhere in America. But everyone wants it to. And we just created a mindset that that's what we're supposed to aspire to. But it was just made to sell refrigerators. The housewife was invented to sell refrigerators. Because we had new technology and no way to get people to want it.
It's another delusion.
Yep.
I feel like now it's more of like the Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie sort of thing. Like, oh yes, we adopted lots of kids and we have dream jobs, but we still get to see our kids all the time. And like, we're just like this really classy couple. Like, I don't know, like, I feel like that's like the new mindset, sort of. Thoughts?
Well, my thing is, with these mindsets, can we blame the media and the advertisement for instilling these mindsets in their head and indoctrinating them, or do we claim some responsibility for a lot of these things that happen? Or better yet, are we the ones that actually create the mindsets and the media and the advertisements just run with it?
I say that second thing you there said.
We created, the media catches on to it, and then they just run away with it and get more people to do it?
Basically. Effectively, it wouldn't have worked if we didn't want it.
That's a good point.
Like, if a lot of people want to have a complacent, like back in the day, want to have the complacent wife, the dutiful wife.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kind of rode the societal standards that were already existed and just reestablished social norms that existed a really long time ago, but kind of died off, and all they do is reestablish things that are already there, and then just sold on the idea because they knew it would work. Especially now, because now that advertisers have teams of psychologists to figure out how to sell us stuff, I think we're in a situation right now where we're going to get a lot of interesting new societal standards.
I believe it. I'll buy it. How much does it cost?
You can buy it on sale for 3 easy payments of $9.99.
So basically, we create the monsters we complain about, for the most part. And that's what I tell people. Like, for example, the channel BET, you know, how, and I'm going to go to culture a bit here. The black culture, African American culture, whatever you want to call it. You know, you have like half the people who indulge in the culture so much that all they know is whatever the hip hop artists do, or whatever Kevin Hart does, whatever famous, you know, entertainment guru African American does. And then you have the other half of people that are just like, this is ridiculous. This is killing us. This is what's keeping us down. All this stuff. Excuse me. But, you know, you have all these people buying their DVDs, buying their music, watching their award shows, just feeding the monster, you know. And, you know, they portray themselves in a certain manner that we approve of. We go, yeah, 2 thumbs up. Yeah, this is awesome. This is funny. This is great. And then the thing is, once they catch on to that, they're like, well, this is what the people want. We'll give it to them. Now, if a bunch of people in this culture were just like, we don't want to be represented that way. We want to be represented like, you know, MLK or Neil deGrasse Tyson, things like that. You know, how many African Americans do you know actually, you know, really like Neil deGrasse Tyson, even know who he is? Actually, I feel ashamed that I didn't find out about him until about a few years ago. You know, because no one wants to push guys like him. You know, Bill Cosby, he fell on the wayside when he used to challenge the status quo of, you know, African American culture.
Apparently now he's an angry dick.
Yeah, that's what people go with. Larry Elder. You know, most people only know him for Moral Court because it's full of drama and everything. But he speaks heavily on these matters. But no one pays attention to him. They call him Uncle Tom. They call Bill Cosby Uncle Tom. They don't even pay attention to Neil deGrasse Tyson. But you throw out a Kevin Hart, a Steve Harvey, any of those guys.
I don't know who these people are.
You don't know who Steve Harvey is? I'm sure. It's probably better off you don't know. Well, he's a comedian. Kevin Hart's a comedian. Steve Hart's a comedian, but now he's like a relationship love guru kind of guy now. You know, we look to these guys and we basically just feed the monster. That's all we're doing. But if the people had, stood up and said, "Nah, I don't want to be portrayed that way. I don't really like this stuff," then these companies and these actors, these actresses, whoever's in charge, would have no choice but to change up their product. They would have to put something else out there. And guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Larry Elder and people who really speak out against these matters would have a better platform. Unfortunately, entertainment,
that's why
education.
That's why it's a weird situation, because that might not necessarily happen. In the same way that the modern housewife was invented.
Uh-huh.
Although it was generally invented by people who wanted to sell you stuff, people still grabbed onto it and wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
So, like, people want to think that they'll be the superstar. We have to change the very roots of our society to have any chance at changing the platforms in which intelligent people are able to sit and speak on.
I agree. It's that desire.
And I think the problem, effectively, we need more Neil deGrasse Tysons. We need more people who are good at describing scientific things in an intellectual but entertaining way. Because if you can't make science fun, no one will care. If you can't make history...
Science guy.
Yeah, Bill Nye. Bill Nye raised a generation of intelligent people.
Beekman's World. I like Beekman. A lot of people rag on him, but I like him. I like his fun.
Bill Nye and I go way back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely, Bill Nye. But even back then, there were so few of those kind of shows. They were very limited. I mean, I remember, a lot of people don't remember this, but Kratz Creatures. It was basically two brothers. They were like, let me see, were they in their early 20s when they did the show? They just basically just ran around the world and bumped into different animals. They had like a cartoon character that was like on the computer. They had a girl who was always on the computer looking up the animals and stuff. And they would just run around the field just talking about stuff. And kids loved it. Like, that show was a hit for a while. But the thing is, there wasn't too many shows like that. So there are a lot of people who do desire shows like that, but like you said, they have to have an entertainment factor other than feeling like they're in school, other than having some guy saying, "This is the hamster. The hamster runs like this. The hamster picked up the food." That would just bore the mess out of kids, and even bore the mess out of adults, and they'll go right back to SpongeBob SquarePants. But you make it fun and exciting, put a nice cute little cartoon character in there. It's awesome.
What's his name? The classic boring guy voice.
Oh, Ben Stein?
Yeah, thank you.
That's
when you talk like that, it's instant Ben Stein.
No.
Ben Stein is a doofus.
That's the best way to explain it.
To be as polite as possible. But I have to say, he is the quintessential boring voice. On The Simpsons, he's been on King of the Hill. He does commercials. It's like...
He debated Dawkins.
What?
You don't remember him?
You don't know that?
I didn't see this?
Yeah. He tried to pass
No
Richard
intelligence
Dawkins off...
allowed.
Just to segue off real quick. He tried to pass Dawkins off as a lunatic because Dawkins said it's possible that...
that wasn't a debate. He just asked him questions that were completely unrelated.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's wrong choice of words, but yes, he...
Okay, I knew about that. I thought there was actually a formal debate, and I missed it somehow.
Oh, no.
Ben
Stein would have died if that happened.
Let's try to swing this back to money. I have no idea how to do that.
But like you said, when it comes to education, do you think that's a bad thing that we need to be entertained while educated?
No, I think it's a very valid and like the one thing I will say all the time is our educational system is horrible. The only people that actually get educated through our educational system are people that don't follow the educational system. People that go out of their way to learn stuff. Mm-hmm. Who go like, oh, I don't understand how to do this problem. I'm going to look up other ways to solve this problem because this textbook is terrible.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, once in a while I did have a really good... I remember one Athens, like ancient Athens, were like coming up to us with our problems, like these problems or whatever, and like we had to like reenact it and stuff. Like something like that is very creative. And
it's very creative and it's very effective.
It is, and like it's still, I still remember that. Another thing I still remember from that class is we were studying, the story of Julius Caesar, not the Shakespeare play, but the actual historical figure. And how did he teach us this? He got a comic book worksheet. It was literally the story of Julius Caesar told in comic book format. Like, that's very creative, and that still sticks in my mind. I still remember that.
And so that's why our educational system is bad. It is designed and was designed and still is designed to make factory workers. That's why it was made. It was to get the poor people off the street and to become factory workers. I'm sorry, educational people, but that's what it is.
Sounds like a freaking robot.
It is. The education system is a machine to create little worker bees.
Well, I mean, like, have you seen Waiting for Superman?
Yes.
I remember one of the things that they said, like, the one girl who I felt like was a lot better off or whatever, like, but, like, on the surface it seemed like she was a lot better off than a lot of the people, because she went to a suburban public school. But the thing of it was that, because her test scores were not as high as, some of the other kids in the class or whatever, she was forced into this tracking system that was designed back in the 1950s, when, 70% of the graduating class was not going to college. That's what she was, and she was tracked into the system. When it's really outdated, today, like I would like to think a large percentage of people do go to college, in order to, or some other higher education, in order to live in this sort of world, you kind of have to.
Unfortunately, and especially now that we're making. Back in the day, and by back in the day I mean 10 years ago, you could get a fair number of jobs with a high school diploma. Like a fair number of decent...
2003?
Sure. Yeah, you get a good number of decent jobs with a high school diploma. They're not like awe-inspiring, but it's just like you get a job and you'd be effective. Now you can't like get any job without a college degree. College degrees have become the new high school degree. And we've already in a state where there are too many scientists to employ them. There are too many of everyone to employ them.
I disagree with that.
That's a fact.
No.
There are too many scientists to employ.
No. My dad said, like, there's so many people, my dad's an engineer, and he says that there's so many people who are not going into the scientific fields, or they're dropping out, or whatever, when they go to college, that in order to get successful engineers, most engineering companies have to go overseas to get, like, they have to go to India, they have to go to China, they have to, in order to get people who can actually do the work.
Is it because of our lack of interest?
No, like I've heard. We'll have to look this up later. Or the internet could. Just whether or not there's a surplus of scientists.
In America?
Yeah, because people are just milling out degrees because they care about making money more than...
I think there's a surplus of liberal arts degree people.
I suppose. I would say we're getting to a point where there's just a surplus of college-educated people. Well, college-educated people. So that makes it, they're the new high school. So everyone's expected to have a degree, so having a degree doesn't get you a leg up on anybody. My dad is, someone in my family, it doesn't matter. If you're looking for a job in today's market, it doesn't matter what your degrees are anymore. At all. The only thing that matters is your work experience.
And who you know.
Like a lot of the how to get a job classes nowadays are how to network, not how to soup up your resume or anything. It's you got to know somebody or you're not getting a job anymore.
That's a minor. In fact, that's how I got my job. Is because my mom knew somebody in there who liked military guys, and I was a military guy, and I got the job. Like, I got the job before I even filled out an application. It was literally just like that. Like, they had me fill out an application just to have it on file. Mm-hmm. It's about who you know, unfortunately. But to segue it a little bit back to money. So my thing is, the main question, I'm trying to think of the main question I just had, just eluded me just now. Yeah, so how do we fix these financial mindsets, especially, and I'm talking about mostly middle class, because like I said, when we started with this whole conversation before you came in, feud between certain groups of middle class people, and it's heavily dependent on the assets that they have. You know, the car they drive, the phone they have, blah blah. How do we stop or at least mitigate this stuff? I don't think you can completely stop it, but how do we mitigate it to a point where we can turn the tides on these issues?
I mean, just tell people, like, just teach kids from a young age not to be shallow. I mean,
effectively, yeah.
I mean, like, to be honest, like, I mean, that's what my parents taught me. You know, they taught me from a young age, like, you know, like, don't judge a book by its cover. You know, don't judge somebody by the jeans they wear, or, you know, by the car they drive. Like, and I remember in 8th grade I had this discussion. This girl was arguing kind of loudly in my English class, and she's like, "You can't get a good pair of jeans for under $200." She was arguing.
What the heck?
And I just like,
wow.
And I remember, I'm like, that doesn't make. And I remember, I went home and I asked my mom, I'm like, tell me if you agree with this. I'm like, you can't get a good pair of jeans of under $200.
What is a good pair of jeans?
Like, I don't know. Like, I guess like it doesn't.
One that makes your
apart.
butt look fantastic.
Wow.
Like, and my mom's like, that's ridiculous. You know, like, you know. Maybe you don't have $200 jeans, but like, you know, we go on like nice trips and stuff. Like, you're like, you know, like, I don't know.
So it's ridiculous beliefs and delusions
yeah.
Again.
I mean, I was taught from a pretty young age. Like,
if you have to live off Goodwill clothes, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, yeah.
That does it's.
What's
the MLK quote? It's
I
like,
love to shop at thrift stores.
So do I, actually.
I you know,
Nothing
I'm
wrong.
really kind of bummed out that, like, you know, yesterday this building collapsed on the Salvation Army or whatever, and like,
yeah, that was
like that.
sad.
Well, that first of all, that was scary. I mean, like, and second of all, it was weird because, like,
to interrupt because a person on the internet is talking. Ellen goes and says those beliefs come from people whose parents can throw away money to prove their status, and that's kind of like they're vicariously showing. It's almost like dressing up your dog to show that you're rich is effectively what they're doing.
It's a dog and pony show.
Yeah, they're dressing up their kids to make them think that, oh, this is actually the spoiled brat syndrome. I want to get into that for a few seconds.
okay, go for it.
Oh, the spoiled brat syndrome. Oh,
It's
no.
kind of just like, if you're not taught at all the value of money / shallowness or treating people for the content of their character and not by the color of their skin or the color of their jeans, then you can fall into the spoiled brat, where you feel so entitled and so superior that you just assume that you're better than everyone else based on the most arbitrary and shallow characteristics. And what's bad is these people get support. Because everyone, like, not everyone obviously, but a lot of people want that attention that they give. It's the most, like, backward cycle. The people that follow around the spoiled brat want the attention that they are giving the spoiled brat. You see how screwed up that is? Because all those people could just be like, oh, you're a bitch. I'm sorry. You are a jerk. I'm not going to pay attention to you, and I'm going to leave. And then the spoiled kid is just going to be in a shallow little corner.
It's going to fade.
Yeah, they'll either have to change their mind or be alone forever. That's just a fact. But people want attention, and they know that you could pick any reason. You could be like, that person has long hair. I want to have long hair. I'm going to pay attention to them because I want the attention that I would give someone with long hair.
What?
It's
exactly.
It's also
it's
very
that arbitrary.
It's defeatist too, because the people who are following the spoiled brat or the popular person or whatever, they assume that, you know, well, I have no means of getting that attention on my own. I can't, they're not being a leader. They're not trend-setting themselves.
The thing Ellen just said is, you have no way to prove your worth to people, or that people should listen to you other than through money.
It's
There you
just
go.
that. There you go. There you go. Exactly. It's like, these people who are they're following. They're just merely following.
They earn that importance is earned through buying. They learn that importance is earned through buying it.
They put a price on everything.
And they can, because people will take it.
We're enablers.
So, there you go, America. Or actually the entire world, because you could be listening to it somewhere else.
Spoiled brat syndrome in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, the way to destroy the spoiled brat syndrome is by ignoring them.
Which is the same way you defeat most of these corporations.
But what if this person is your relative?
The way you defeat them is by ignoring them.
Ignore them. They can be rich and snooty as they want. Ignore them.
I'll just do like the kooky aunt or whatever, like the superior like couple in your family that's just kind of like, oh, I guess we'll go to the family reunion, but we're far too important to sully our feet on anything but the finest of Persian rugs. Anyway, those kind of people, the way you defeat them is by ignoring them.
Let them wallow in their own filth and selfishness, and a lot of them will crumble. As a matter of fact, a lot of people who have a lot of money,
Or at the very least, they'll leave you alone. If you ignore them, they'll go away.
Some of them might even, by some miraculous event, might turn around and realize the error of their ways. But that's kind of hard when you've been stuck in the same way for years and years on end.
Like, the reason I'm mentioning this is because I have several relatives who definitely fall into the materialistic sort of category.
Yes, quite.
I'm not even just talking about like material goods. I'm talking about like I have one relative who sends they send their daughter to this school, elementary, middle school. She's in elementary, middle school age. They send her to a school that's like $20,000 a year for 8th grade.
That's a little excessive, but
Yeah, because their belief is she is so smart. She didn't the public school is not challenging her enough.
that could be true.
Possible.
I'm not saying it's not possible, but just the way they go about it, and they bought this McMansion near the school or whatever. So they're like, oh yeah, and then they send their other kids to I think public school, but they send her to the this $20,000 a year school. So I don't know, they're making a monster, and I've seen that. I remember when she was a little bit younger, my mom said to her oh, how are you doing in school? And she's like, oh, well, I have all A's, of course. They're making a monster. When you feed someone and you just say yes, you're so smart that we're going to send you to a special school, and
You ruin children for the future.
Mm-hmm.
It's the installation of narcissism, which can also lead to severe apathy towards peers.
Their house is so big, I could live comfortably in their basement. I could just live down in their basement,
Wow.
and not really have to leave or anything, because it's just so big. They have 2 staircases in their house. Yeah.
That's a sizable thing right there.
And I have several relatives.
To be
that
fair,
are
my
this.
grandparents' house has 2 staircases, but it's not a very large house.
No, it's and I have several relatives that are like this. I'll be honest with you. I haven't really said this outside of my family, really, but.
Do you want to say it now, considering the internet is hearing?
That's true. Never mind.
So what happened to you, Izzy? How come you haven't rose up to the ladder?
My sister has said this, because my sister goes to Penn State, which is a very good school.
Yes, it is.
But here's the thing, she has confided in me. She says, I feel like they're pitying me every time I talk about my school, because I'm the poor girl who's going to the state school or something, rather than going to some elite private school. She's like, I feel like they're pitying me every single time I talk to them.
I would
Like-
challenge them.
What?
I would challenge them and say, well, what makes your school better than mine?
Right.
Even if you
Well,
don't
none of
have
their kids are in college yet. But
Oh, okay. But even if you have a poor opinion on where you're at and stuff, you know, I would still challenge and be like, okay, well, what makes yours awesome? You know, I kind of want to know this. And is it awesome because you say so, or is there really some actually solid evidence that this lifestyle that you're living, that these places you're going to, is, you know, quite profoundly viable? That's what I would ask them. You know, and I've had plenty of people who, you know, they've been in big businesses and all that stuff. It's just like, yeah, well, it's just better than this. I was like, why? It's because you have enough money to pay for it, or is it actually better? You know, because just because something is worth a lot, you know, financially, money-wise, doesn't mean it's worth much anywhere else. You know, like that car I mentioned earlier.
In England, all universities cost the same tuition.
wow, I know. In Germany,
It
all
used to be
universities
free
are free.
if you're a certain class.
Oh, there's that word again. It's like,
But they used to be free, and you just had to pay for board.
this sounds a lot like. Do you think this is history repeating itself? Do you think this is like bourgeoisie versus proletariat with with something in the middle, just
Yep.
all over again?
Whenever you get a large number of people together, they'll stratify. It's basically required. But the thing is that the one thing that we're different is we are slowly becoming a global culture. Because, honestly, you could take a plane ride and go around the world, and it wouldn't take that long. You can travel to every country in the world in your lifetime. It would be...
The internet. I mean...
Or the internet, you
I
know.
mean, like,
The internet's
you
a
know,
whole culture
I
in
can
itself.
post. I can post a video, or a blog post, or a Twitter account, and somebody in China can read it. You know, like.
And it can go
granted,
viral.
It can go viral.
They're like, look at this girl from somewhere in the middle of Pennsylvania, saying or doing this thing, and everyone around the world is looking at it. Like, everyone's exposed to it. So it's like, back then, when it came to finances and all this other stuff, it was basically just situated in one area. And we still kind of have that, but we're like a more open system now. Especially when it comes to finances, like you were mentioning about those corporations going overseas and everything. Very, very, very internationally based right now. But even within when you classify it down to these communities and these cities and everything, you still have like certain hierarchical structures, for the lack of a better term, when it comes to these classes.
If you go into like a microcosm, like an actual city, then it gets crazy, because it not only do the different classes stratify, like by who talks to who, different social classes.
Oh yeah. Compare Fox Chase to Kensington. Two totally different worlds in Philadelphia alone. Like, you go to Fox Chase, and because like my friend lives there, it does not look like stereotypical Philly. And stereotypical Philly is a bunch of row houses with messed up streets, maybe a bus going down a really tight road. That's like what a lot of people think of Philly as. When you go to Fox Chase, you have a bunch of woods, you have these wide roads, it's generally really quiet, and the houses are separate. Like, it's a totally different world. Kensington,
How far away is Fox Chase?
Fox Chase is...
Yeah, I have no idea where
Can
this
I
is.
move there?
Fox Chase would be close to Montgomery County, in the vicinity of Bucks, on the east side. It's northeast. It's like I wouldn't say it's the most northern northeast. It's like, this is northeast, and it's right below it. And then once you go further south this way, you hit Kensington.
One thing that Ellen's been posting a number of times, money and wealth is a way for people to distinguish themselves. Everyone wants to stand out and be noticed. So that kind of goes back into everything else we were talking about.
Yes.
Like, that money is a status symbol.
Yep.
And you can see that in the way that the cities get stratified.
Yep.
People with a certain income go to the high-rises, and they have penthouses and ridiculous nonsense. People that have middle-income row houses. People that have no income, tiny apartments.
I think I read this somewhere. Like, human beings are actually destined, like, we're, like, quote-unquote designed to group ourselves, to cut ourselves off into little groups.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, tribalism.
Yes,
Mhm.
precisely. And it's like, it's really hard to fight against that. Like, it's like instinctual.
Mm-hmm.
But now we base it off of just arbitrary things like cars and phones.
That's why, like, we have to try to... We've done it before. We used to be tiny tribes of people, like 15, like very small family groups, and then we started to get into settlements, and then we started getting into kingdoms, and then started getting to nations, and all these things. We can become a global culture. We are able to. It is feasibly possible. But the problem is we create these arbitrary differences between each other and focus on them relentlessly to the point of wanting to kill each other. And it seems ridiculous at the... Yes, cultural separation as well. But it seems ridiculous at the moment. But I would not be surprised if someone killed another person because they used the wrong phone. I would
I
not
don't know
be
anyone who's
surprised.
done that, but I do know of someone.
It's like people kill each other all the time.
It happened
for the
years
magical
ago in
voices
this
they hear
country.
in their head.
No, I know somebody, like, in my hometown, this guy got shot because he was talking on his cell phone outside a restaurant. This guy said to him, "Give me your phone," and he said no, and the guy shot him.
What the heck?
Well, that's just aggressive nonsense.
I don't even know.
I'm saying, like, specific, like, class
It's
warfare.
a have and have not thing. That guy did not have a phone. He wanted a phone. He saw this guy talking on his phone. He said, "Give me your phone."
There is, like, a big welfare problem in a bunch of countries, and it's where kids who are, like, drug addicts and drug dealers spend all of their phone not on a house, but on a BlackBerry. And it's just like, what the hell, people?
So it seems like the root of these problems is parenting.
Why not just buy the phone instead of buying the gun? That's assuming he bought the gun.
Stop making
Or
so much
she
sense. But
yeah, Ellen, we don't make sense here. We're the Free Thought Society.
but it seems like the root of the problem. It seems the root of a lot of these problems.
That's gonna be
that
a
we have.
horrible situation if we ever get quote mined. Because
Why?
if we, quote
yeah,
mining.
yeah.
Because I just said we don't make sense with Free Thought Society.
Oh boy, yeah, and people just interpret anyway. they
Chickens
want.
are roosters. America is actually Nebraska. And forks and spoons reproduce to create knives. Anyway, Dante.
I thought they created sporks. Ah.
Creationists!
So
Oh no, evolutionists.
it's like So in order to get to the bottom of this issue, it seems like once again, with all the topics we've been talking about.
I'm sorry. The gun is a multiple use to steal multiple things, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a vessel.
It's an investment. Don't use guns, people. Anyway.
It seems like the root of these problems is starting at the home. Parenting. Telling your kids not to punch another kid in the face because you're wearing Jordans and he's not. It seems like it just starts really young. This compartmentalization just starts really young. Like I said, when I was in middle school and the whole clothes thing, you weren't wearing Tommy Hilfiger, you weren't wearing this kind of clothes and everything. Oh, yeah, you suck. And it's like, again, the parents enable it because it was like, Mom, I gotta have these sneakers. I gotta have them because if I don't, I'm gonna be a loser. Okay, son, okay, here you go.
My sister knew somebody in I think middle school or high school who they would just go home to their mom and say, "Mom, my clothes are out of style. We need to go shopping."
Oh,
Mom would be like,
wow.
Okay.
Wow.
You see, I'm wearing this. Do you know when I bought this shirt? Middle school. I've had this shirt for 7
You're a
years.
big kid.
Wait, actually,
And this still looks awesome.
like 9 years. I've had this shirt for almost half of my life. And I love it, damn it.
I had this shirt for a week from Comic Con.
Oh, shucks.
Now I'm the cool kid because I have Pac-Man ghosts on my shirt.
Is that supposed to be, what is that?
Paranormal Activity.
Yes, thank you. That's Paranormal Activity.
But no, guys, wearing a Pac-Man shirt doesn't make you cool. Just makes you a nerd. Which
it just
actually
makes
is
you,
cool.
It makes you as
Okay.
cool as Dante.
Yes.
You can take that however you want it.
Exactly. It's arbitrary. There we go.
This is an interesting idea. Is it a purely cultural thing with parents instilling this kind of behavior in someone, or is it honestly a genetic disorder?
I think it's
nudiness and
it's a, little,
heritage.
it's a little bit of both.
I do know the DSM used to have narcissistic personality disorder, but I think they removed it. I guess because it's like getting so common that it's no longer a mental disorder.
Wow.
Like,
It's being selected for, so maybe it's seen as a normal.
It could be a genetic thing.
I think it's a little bit of both.
I think it could be predisposed to self-indulgence, effectively.
Mhm.
But, like, thinking of yourself before others. But then again, all children are like that. Like, all children are naturally narcissistic because they have to be.
But something gives it a vessel to manifest itself into the adult world in an obnoxious way. I think it all starts with the genetics. There's that sense of belong, that sense of,
Oh, apparently Ellen was actually talking about the genetic disorder about knives and sporks, but whatever. You had a good comment.
Thank
just roll
you.
with it. You had to. I gave you so many points for that one. Fine, whatever.
Thank you, Sparrow. But I believe that. I believe that there's that sense of belong, and then it manifests into a culture, and in certain cultures push on something that is already intrinsic within our systems.
Pretty much. That's kind of what we were talking about before with the what do they call the modern housewife. All it did was co-opt previously existing stigma / biology, and we just rode with it. The one thing is, because of our inherent tribalism, it's so easy to co-opt that. You create an other, and then people naturally hate the other. And marketing thrives on this.
Create a bias. You create a bias.
No, it's not even just a bias. It's create an enemy. It's create like the Nokia thing was just like, oh look, all the other phones are stupid and fight each other. You should love us. Oh, Nokia.
Which is funny because then you'll wind up becoming just like those guys that were fighting.
Yep. Except Nokia is going to be like as the two are wailing on each other, the one's just throwing sticks at them.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what they're doing now.
Biology.
Biology is so easily used. We have 2 minutes left.
So closing statements, I guess?
Actually, we have exactly 2 minutes left, so we can rattle on for a little bit more. So...
How y'all doing?
How you doing?
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm biologically well.
I'm extremely tired, actually. I woke up at like 6 after going to sleep at like 1-ish.
I took a very long nap this afternoon.
I can't nap. It doesn't work.
I didn't spend too much money today.
I didn't either, actually. Actually, I spent like $6 on coffee and a muffin. Stuff's so expensive.
Coffee and a muffin. Yeah. I mean, freaking croissant sandwiches from Dunkin' Donuts, like $3 something.
Okay, now that we've wasted 30 seconds, let's do closing statements.
It all starts. I mean, sure, you have that biological thing rooted in us, but I think that it all starts in the home. What mentality your children will grow up with when it comes to money and worldly possessions. So I would say that try to make your children as less obnoxious about it as possible, and I think we'll all be better off.
Don't be materialistic. It's rude.
Thank you.
Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't think you're better than someone just because you have more money, and don't think someone's better than you just because they have more money than you. I think we're all human beings when it comes down to it. We all have blood in our veins. We'll all bleed. We all,
Except for those damn cyborgs.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Don't make it an issue. Like it shouldn't be an issue. Don't make it one.
Everything in the world can be dumbed down to several things. Money breeds power. Power corrupts people. Power creates more money. I lost my complete train of thought. Gigglefish and Slaggleforth. Thank you, everyone, for joining us at the Drexel Free Thought Society Weekly Podcast. I hope you all had a good time. Thank you, people in the chat. We're going to leave now. Goodbye.
Armadillo.